Hey everyone, and welcome to today's Explainer. Right off the bat, we are exploring this fantastic book, Love in Frames, a cinematic exploration of Valentine's Day magic by Sophia M. Johnson. You know that incredible, almost overwhelming feeling, right? When the theater lights dim, the opening music swells, and a truly magical love story just unfolds right before us? It's a universal language. It completely transcends borders, it transcends generations. We just sit there totally captivated, willingly suspending our disbelief for 2 solid hours just to feel that undeniable spark. But have you ever stopped to actually wonder what creates that magic? Like, how does a literal sequence of moving images make our hearts race or bring us to tears? Well, today, we're going to deconstruct the spellbook behind our absolute favorite on-screen romances. We'll trace the whole journey from the written script all the way to the silver screen to see exactly how these cinematic masterpieces are engineered. So that brings us to this central question driving our entire analysis today. What makes a romantic masterpiece? We're going to tease apart the specific, deconstructive recipe behind the timeless romantic comedies we just keep returning to year after year. Because, as it turns out, creating a movie that genuinely captures our hearts and permanently imprints itself onto our culture, it isn't just luck. No way. It is not some happy accident or a fluke of casting. It's actually a meticulous, brilliant craft. Filmmakers are relying on very specific, highly calculated ingredients to basically hijack our emotions, in the absolute best way possible, of course, tapping into our deep psychological needs for connection, hope, and resolution.
Okay, let's dive into this by looking at one of the most powerful and enduring concepts in all of romantic cinema, serendipity. Now, in the realm of these films, serendipity is defined as the cosmic alignment of fate, chance, and whimsical choices that orchestrates true love. Think about the 2001 film starring John Cusack and Kate Beckinsale. I mean, it literally uses this concept as its title and its core storytelling device. It shows us how these seemingly random, totally chaotic choices, like, say, reaching for the exact same pair of black cashmere gloves at a crowded Bloomingdale's just days before Christmas, can actually be this unseen hand of fate pulling two people together. It asks the audience to fully, wholeheartedly embrace the what if. And psychologically, this is incredibly comforting to viewers. It allows us to believe that the universe has a plan, that some encounters are quite simply written in the stars, completely free from the anxieties of modern dating.
To truly deconstruct these iconic Valentine's Day films, we've got a specific roadmap for today's explainer. Consider this your recipe card. We'll be looking at 1. Cinematic love and magic. 2. The chemistry of golden pairs. 3. Reinventing romantic tropes. 4. Directors and soundtracks. And finally, 5. Their cultural legacy. Let's get right into it.
Our first critical ingredient for a romantic masterpiece: the chemistry of golden pairs.
Because honestly, you can have the most flawlessly paced, witty script in the world, shot by an Oscar-winning cinematographer, but without that undeniable electric on-screen magic between the two leads, the film is going to completely fall flat. Consider some of Hollywood's ultimate golden pairs. You've got Richard Gere and Julie Roberts in Pretty Woman. Their dynamic works so beautifully because it relies on a stark psychological contrast. Gere's rigid billionaire stoicism is just systematically broken down by Roberts' chaotic, vibrant charm. Then there's Adam Sandler and Drew Barrymore in The Wedding Singer. This duo is perfect. They balance Sandler's defensive cynicism with Barrymore's relentless, radiant optimism, which creates this deeply heartfelt relatability that audiences instantly root for. And of course, Sandra Bullock and Ryan Reynolds in The Proposal. They use this lightning-fast comedic timing and really sharp, almost aggressive banter to slowly build a wall of genuine intimacy. The authentic, genre-transcending chemistry of these specific pairs transforms standard dialogue into an enduring romance. It's a lightning-in-a-bottle camaraderie that translates into organic, unforced magic. You just can't fake that.
But perfect casting isn't enough on its own. We also need to look at our next crucial ingredient: reinventing romantic tropes. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how the best rom-coms don't just lazily rely on tired cliches. They actively reinvent them to give us something entirely fresh and meaningful. Take the classic fake relationship trope, for example. A movie like The Proposal starts with a strict, high-stakes business arrangement. A powerful, icy editor coerces her assistant into a sham marriage just to avoid deportation. If the story just stayed in the corporate world of New York, well, it would just be a cynical comedy. But the film masterfully flips this trope.
By forcing these two characters completely out of their comfortable element and dropping them into the remote, close-knit community of Sitka, Alaska, the narrative strips away all their professional armor. It evolves that rigid, comedic business deal into profound personal growth and ultimately true love. It shows us that vulnerability, not proximity, is what actually creates romance. Another amazing trope reinvention is the clash between pure fantasy and gritty reality, which is famously executed in Pretty Woman. This movie brilliantly subverts the classic Cinderella archetype. Why? Because, let's face it, a purely passive princess story wouldn't really resonate with a modern, empowered audience. Instead, the film contrasts the polished, extravagant wealth of Beverly Hills with the harsh, unforgiving reality of the Hollywood streets. Julia Roberts' character, Vivian, isn't just a passive damsel in distress waiting around to be saved by Prince Charming. Through her experiences, she actually discovers her own agency and self-worth. By the end, she isn't asking for a rescue. She is demanding a partnership of equals. It's a modern fairy tale that acknowledges the real world, grounding the romance in true personal empowerment.
If you find this analysis valuable, please like and subscribe to Knowledge Lighthouse to help us bring more truths to light.
All right, let's transition smoothly from the actors and scripts into the behind-the-scenes alchemy that truly brings these films to life: directors and iconic soundtracks.
Because the unseen hands guiding the camera are just as critical as the famous faces on the screen. Directors are the true architects of the emotional landscape. Compare two absolute titans of the genre. Gary Marshall is a director whose signature style brings immense warmth, undeniable charm, and modern fairy tales to life, creating monumental hits like Pretty Woman and the ensemble event Valentine's Day. On the other hand, you have Richard Curtis. He is defined by a deep sense of authenticity and incredibly complex, interconnected ensembles, most famously realized in Love, Actually. Marshall basically wraps you in this cinematic warm hug, making you feel completely safe and hopeful. Curtis, though, weaves a massive emotional mosaic showing that love, in all its messy, imperfect, and sometimes heartbreaking glory, is quite literally all around us.
And we definitely can't talk about behind-the-scenes magic without mentioning the immense power of the soundtrack and production design. The filmmakers behind The Wedding Singer didn't just casually set it in the past. They built a comprehensive, incredibly immersive cultural time capsule. We're talking cassette tapes and Commodore 64s, pastel wardrobes, and those signature mullets, all backed by a meticulously curated soundtrack of synthesizers and synth-pop ballads. Why does this matter? Because nostalgia is an incredibly potent psychological tool. It literally lowers our defenses, making us so much more open to the earnest, genuine emotions the film is trying to convey. It proves that a movie's setting and its sound can act as an entirely separate, vital character in the story.
As the credits roll, the best of these movies don't just fade away into the archives. Let's look at our final theme, a timeless cultural legacy.
Let's move to and see how this builds in a movie like Love, Actually. This film completely redefined the holiday movie genre by showing the sheer omnipresence of love across literally all walks of life. We are shown a staggering array of human experiences: the Prime Minister's highly public romance clashing with his political duties, the incredibly iconic, bittersweet silent declaration of unrequited love via cue cards, and characters overcoming intense language barriers in foreign lands just to forge a connection. By intertwining these diverse experiences, including the quiet dignity of familial love and the enduring loyalty of platonic love, Love Actually elevated the holiday movie into a universally shared, deeply empathetic human experience.
Building on that ensemble idea, the 2010 film Valentine's Day created a massive ripple effect that fundamentally changed the industry. It didn't just tell a story, it created a literal Hollywood business model. Step 1, assemble an unprecedented all-star A-list cast that practically guaranteed a massive opening weekend. Step 2, interweave nonlinear, multi-generational love stories to ensure there was a totally relatable plotline for every single demographic sitting in the audience. And Step 3, establish a wildly successful template for calendar event cinema. It transitioned the romantic comedy from a standard genre flick into a blockbuster event, proving that modern audiences deeply hunger for massive, interconnected celebrations of love tied to our shared cultural calendar.
So the crucial point is that creating a romantic masterpiece is an intricate, brilliant craft, perfectly balancing casting, sharp scripts, and visionary direction. And to truly appreciate this craft, there is nothing quite like having a physical, high-quality reference book right in your hands to flip through the next time you sit down to watch these classics. For the complete deep dive, own the paperback. Get your copy through the link in the description. Please share this video and check the description for more.
So the next time the lights dim and the opening credits roll, ask yourself, are you just watching a movie, or are you experiencing a meticulously crafted spell being cast right before your very eyes?